Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you all for being here. We are here today at the fabulous James McHenry Rec Center for my administration's next announcement related to Baltimore's American Rescue Plan investments. I am joined today by Comptroller Bill Henry. Mr. Comptroller? Yes, Comptroller. Uh, City Councilman John Bullock, whose district we are in today in the 9th District, and City Councilman Zeke Cohen. We are also joined by Director Moore from Recreation Parks, Director Kearney from the Office of Recovery, and Director of the Mayor's Office of Broadband and Digital Equity, Jason Harderback. To date, the administration has announced significant investments that I would like to always call Baltimore's dual public health crises, $80 million to dealing with the continuing pandemic of COVID-19, $50 million towards violence prevention efforts going on in the epidemic of violence in Baltimore, and a combined $55 million towards workforce development and economic recovery. The COVID-19 pandemic showed us all in a very big way that internet access has become fundamental to our daily lives. Ensuring digital equity is not a choice, but is an imperative thing that we must do. Tens of thousands of households in our city lack reliable internet, and that's something that we know we cannot continue to happen. Reliable internet access is a necessity. From our students to our older adults, Baltimoreans who struggle to learn virtually, work from home, access needed for telemedicine on unreliable, slow connections, and limited access to broadband hindered so many of our residents throughout the height of the pandemic. This is actually why I appointed Jason Harderback as Director of Broadband and Digital Equity to focus on bridging the digital equity gap and broadband connectivity issues while working to expand public access for Baltimore's residents. We will not wait. Today, a $35 million investment with American Rescue Plan dollars is about taking an active role in kickstarting our efforts to not just bridge the divide, but close it once and for all with a strong focus on our residents and neighborhoods lacking access. This is just the beginning. We have to prepare Baltimore for the future and ensure that all of our residents, each and every one of them, have the ability to participate in today's digital world, to meet the educational needs for our young people and ensure that we shape our workforce to be ready for the economy, not just of today, but for tomorrow and the future to come. That's what Bridging This Divide is about. I promise to close the digital divide here in Baltimore once and for all by the year 2030. We will pave the way on digital equity for major cities around the country. Of this $35 million down payment, as we're calling it, a first round of $6 million will go to address immediate internet and digital access needs, and that includes expanding city fiber to the remaining 23 Baltimore rec centers that are not already on the city's network, bringing secure public internet access to residents inside and outside of these buildings, installing at least 100 secure free public Wi-Fi hotspots across 10 West Baltimore neighborhoods, including Mondawmin, Reservoir Hill, Upton, Sandtown, Winchester, Penn North, Druid Heights, Madison Park, Coppin Heights, Easterwood, and Bolton Hill. We also will continue to focus with hiring a digital equity coordinator and staff with expertise in Wi-Fi deployment, fiber engineering, operations, and technical support. Details about the remaining $29 million will be shared with you guys early in the new year. And in line with my commitment to centering equity in everything that this administration does, this investment in digital access as a whole will have a strong focus, a very strong focus on equity and ensuring access and affordability in historically marginalized communities. A part of the process will also include inviting the public to review, provide input, and join in on Baltimore's digital equity framework, which is now available at bde.baltimorecity.gov. Again, that's bde.baltimorecity.gov. And with that, I would like to introduce our Director of the Mayor's Office of Broadband and Digital Equity, Jason Harderback. Jason?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, Comptroller Henry, Council Members Bullock and Cohen, guests. The pandemic has shown how critical internet access has become to our daily lives for many reasons, including remote work, online school, virtual doctor visits, ordering food and groceries, maintaining social ties, the list goes on and on. We have come to rely on an always-on connection, and most of us take broadband access for granted. However, in Baltimore, there are nearly 100,000 households who lack adequate high-speed service in their homes and rely on mobile phones and rationing a shared connection for basic access. We refer to the gap between those who can take full advantage of modern technology and those who cannot as the digital divide. Mayor Scott established the Office of Broadband and Digital Equity with a clear mandate to lead our collective effort to permanently close Baltimore's digital divide. Today's announcement represents a down payment towards that audacious and essential goal. Broadband access has become too important in our daily lives to continue to take a hands-off approach and place all of our trust in the notion that market forces will somehow solve this. History has shown that a laissez-faire approach perpetuates and often deepens structural inequities, and it is the proper role of government to ensure that all citizens have equal access to the basics necessary to thrive in modern civil society. Like clean water and public roads, broadband access has become one of those essential services. These initial investments in the city's digital infrastructure will help expand access throughout some of our most underserved neighborhoods and represent our first step in providing every resident with expanded choices for broadband service. Our city has many assets, including our municipal conduit system, that give us a massive head start in our goal of building public infrastructure that will help ensure every Baltimorean shares equally in the benefits and prosperity that will come with world-class connectivity. Today, we will release Baltimore's Digital Equity Framework for public comment, which will serve as our vision and our compass as we begin the hard work to permanently close the digital divide in our city. As the mayor mentioned, you can now download and view the document at bde.baltimorecity.gov. Digital equity has become a moral imperative, and the future prosperity of Baltimore and all our residents depend on it. We welcome the input and active participation of every resident, organization, and stakeholder as we embark on this journey together. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. And you're right, we are all in this together. It will take all of us, public and private partners, to come together in a true and deep way to close the digital divide in its entirety and deliver access to crucial technology resources to Baltimoreans. The administration will continue to remain laser focused on bridging this divide. I want to remind you that ARPA is just a down payment. This is just the beginning. There is a lot of work that remains to be done to eliminate the root causes of broadband and digital inequity by building an open access fiber infrastructure all across Baltimore. Like Director Harderbeck said, in order to tackle the root of this issue, we have to move towards treating broadband as a public good, much like water, and a necessity for everyday life in the same way that we deal with water and electricity. So please stay tuned as we go down this journey of eliminating the digital divide. And with that, we will take questions. Sir? Hold on. It's still not on yet. Just because they're recording it, that's all. You're good. You're good.
Okay. Mayor, what's the timeline for getting this up and running, and what does that look like for your administration in making sure that folks can have broadband access If you could explain that, please.
Yeah, actually, let Jason go through the details, but we're talking about the first phase of work that we're going to start working on immediately. Jason?
Yeah, so this is not a trivial undertaking. It is a massive infrastructure build. As the mayor said, our ultimate goal is to completely close the digital divide by the end of this decade. We will start construction on the first phase that the mayor announced earlier within a few months. The American Rescue Plan Act dollars all need to be spent by the end of 2026, but we will also be embarking on additional infrastructure build in parallel with that. The goal, and again, we are still developing the detailed plans for the design of the network, but the goal is to have the network in place substantially within the next 5 years.
Yeah?
Hi,
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
Can you talk to us about the companies? Are there any specific companies? You know, when you sign up for internet at home, you can have Verizon, you can have Comcast. Do you have specific companies that you're talking to, and if so, which ones?
So this is about the public network that we're talking about here today, and we're going to be working with all of our partners. As you heard me say in my remarks, this is about all of us working together to eliminate the digital divide, and it's going to be something that's going to require more than folks who provide the internet. Everybody, public and private, that wants to see Baltimore succeed is going to have to be a part of this work. So it's just not limiting to them. We're talking about expanding our right now access from city government, in rec centers, in hot spots that are going to be in neighborhoods that have been the neighborhoods that have been ignored for at least the 37 years that I've been alive. We're going to be starting there and building out, working in partnership with everyone. Reverend Tootin?
Mr. Mayor, how closely are you working with the Baltimore City school system? I know that they're doing things that are very similar.
Yep, I'll let Jason talk about that, but they are in direct contact and making sure, because we're serving the same people, and that we're doing this in a way that's very intelligent, so that we are building from strength together and not in competition with each other. You want to talk more about that?
Yeah, it's an excellent question. I mean, we cannot solve or close the digital divide without close partnership with partners like Baltimore City Schools and libraries. We've actually started this work on identifying potential locations for public Wi-Fi by working with schools to identify where they were putting hotspots as they were attempting to address the connectivity challenges their students were facing during the pandemic. So it's going to be an even closer partnership over the years as we work on this problem together.
Sir, good to see you.
Good morning. How soon can schools see these hotspots pop up? A physical date already in mind?
Well, we're talking about rec centers. So as you said, the construction will start in the next few months. But from there, it'll be a time. It's not going to be something immediate, but this is something that we're hoping to build up over the next years as we continue on. Emily?
You focused this on the 23 rec centers. Do the other rec centers already offer internet service to the surrounding community in addition to within their walls?
I will let Director Moore and Jason talk about that. A lot of those centers have the fiber already, so we'll be building from that. This is about, I'll have you guys come, Jason first and then Director Moore, about building on the success that we had in places that we don't have the secure in the fiber. Jason first.
Yeah, so this will allow us to continue and complete the build of extending the city's network, fiber network, to the remaining rec centers. I think virtually all rec centers, if not every rec center, already offers service. This is also about enabling us to use rec centers as hubs for the neighborhood as we expand our public Wi-Fi out into the surrounding community and into public spaces such as parks and other, community gathering spaces.
Yes, Jason's actually correct that the additional rec centers, the 27 rec centers that we currently have, they have active Wi-Fi, they have computer labs. This work will continue to expand that to reach into some of the parks and reach into some of the neighborhoods. As the mayor stated earlier, this is something that we saw during the school year, and we want to make sure that we'll address that need.
And can you just tell me a little bit about how you selected the communities for the hotspots?
Well, I'll let Jason go into the details, but I think if I just go through the names, right? Sandtown, Winchester, Penn North, Mondawmin, Madison Park, Coppin Heights. These are the neighborhoods that haven't had the city do investment, that have been ignored for so long, that we know that these were the young people don't have access to the internet. It's about putting the need in this infrastructure where it's needed the most so it can impact the folks who need it the most.
Thank you.
Emily, not you.
The other Emily. Good afternoon. I also have a question about the rec centers. I know there's hope, like the idea is that the Wi-Fi will extend outside of the rec center buildings too. Do we know roughly how many households or people each rec center will be able to provide that Wi-Fi to?
I will leave that. I am a recovered tech nerd. I will leave that to Director Harderbeck.
So the intent of public Wi-Fi is not to be a acceptable or a long-term substitute for fixed internet in homes. It's really about complementing service. So if somebody is able to receive or get on the public Wi-Fi network in their house, it would be a coincidence more than anything. What we're focused on is primarily in outside spaces where public buildings, public gathering spaces, parks, public markets, transit stops, that sort of thing. So the real effort here is to provide everyone with the ability to use free Wi-Fi to complement what they're already using and to avoid using their prepaid mobile data plans or their phone plans instead.
Are we able to say that the Wi-Fi will extend like 50 meters outside of each rec center? Do we have?
It's
like,
a
that
great
sort of
question.
statistic?
Our goal is to expand the range of each hotspot as much as feasible. It really depends on line of sight, how many trees, that sort of thing. Same challenges you have in your house, trying to get a good Wi-Fi signal. So it's a little easier outside, but we will be using, commercial grade external equipment. This is equipment that is designed for outside venues. And our goal is eventually to be able to offer public Wi-Fi throughout the city in all public spaces.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ma'am?
Good afternoon, Mayor. Pivoting a little, if that's okay. I think everybody is done asking questions about the rec centers.
There's no surprise.
Yesterday, a 65-year-old mom was talking to us, explaining her frustration. Her daughter's recovering in the hospital after being shot by a
On
stray
Eastern
bullet.
Avenue?
She said that she described Baltimore as the Wild West. I know that when you rolled out your 5-year crime plan, you said that the city would be able to see some results within the first year and each year after that. Can you say that the city is safer now than it was last year?
I think that I've said this to you before. Women lie, men lie, numbers don't. We know that more people have been murdered in Baltimore, which is completely unacceptable. We do know that less people have been the victim of non-fatal shootings. Unfortunately, what happened to her daughter, which is a case that our police detectives are actively looking for individuals who contribute to that tragedy. We know that less people have been the victim of robberies and carjackings in Baltimore. So the reality is, Mackenzie, that we know that violent crime is down in Baltimore. But is the mayor, am I accepting of where we are? No. And we're going to work every day to make sure that we're better. And as I said before, that goes much deeper than the police department. That goes to every single agency in the city. That goes to every single business. Quite frankly, it goes to every single individual in the city. We all have to be better, and we all have to do more for Baltimore to truly be more.
What do you say to the families who say that the 5-year crime plan is just simply taking too long? They want to see immediate results and to see. I mean, you said non-fatal shootings are down,
what you're
but
saying.
more than 600 people were shot.
I understand what you're saying. I think that we have to understand two things. To those families, I would say that they're always going to have my deepest sympathy, and I've been impacted by gun violence in Baltimore, so I know that frustration. But we all have to also recognize this. What's happening in Baltimore has been happening in Baltimore for over 40 years. That's the truth. And what we have to do is be willing to commit ourselves to everyone being a part of that change. And when we know that having the progress that we have is never going to be enough for me, because I want us to be at our best. And we're going to push ourselves to do that each and every day. But the reality of what we're happening in Baltimore today is that this is the culmination. This is what a city looks like. If you look around the country, this is what cities look like when you don't invest in people and communities for decades on end. and we're now starting to reverse that trend. We're going to continue to hold people accountable. We're going to continue to press for more ways to deal with things like the flow of illegal guns into our community, and we're all impatient. And I'm going to be impatient with those, just like those families are, each and every day, so that we can be better as a city. Thank you. Anybody else? Thank you. Hold on. I cut the mic back on. You good now? Hold up. No, as of yet, I assume that I know that the governor's chief of staff and my chief of staff spoke recently, so I know that the meeting will happen. As the governor has said to you guys, that him and I don't have a problem meeting with each other or communicating. It will happen, and I know that we'll have a robust conversation. Miss Pete, you got to come over to the mic. Go ahead, Mackenzie. It might be. I know that his chief of staff and mine talk, and if he said it and it's on the schedule, it'll happen. We know that we'll continue to push and work with each other to make sure that we're doing everything we can do in partnership. He doesn't expect me to agree with everything that I say and vice versa, but it's about, for me, being adults and realizing the responsibility that we have to work together. Thank you.
So we have a young man who's an aspiring producer.
Oh, yeah.
Director who goes to the school. Can he take a picture with you?
Oh, absolutely he can. Yes, sir.